Hello students, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. Once again welcome back to your class Ravisirjee Maths, the easiest and finest way to learn the concepts of mathematics from standard 9 to 12th. Students, in our previous video lecture we have studied about sine function and cos function. Students, we have learned how to plot the graph of sine function and cos function and its inverse. Students, in our today video lesson we are going to learn about how to plot the graph of tan function, cot and sec, and how we can plot the graph of tan inverse, cot inverse and sec inverse. Okay students, all these description are written on the board. Just we will have to do the quick revision over here, and all these are similar to the previous video lecture. Okay students, let us see over here inverse of tan function. The topic is inverse of tan function. Students, we know that tan function is many one function but is defined on R, and in certain things we have discussed about all the trigonometric functions are 1 and onto function. So we can define the onto function like that way, tan x and y. So we can define that function y is equal to tan x, y is equal to tan x, where x belongs to real number, and real number are what? All the positive and negative counting number including 0, but not infinite, not positive infinite, not negative infinite. The number lies between positive infinite and negative infinite. All those numbers are a real number. So x is always belongs to real number, and which will be equals to what? 2k plus 1 pi by 2. The format of the input means the value of x in the form of 2k plus 1 pi by 2, and its range is what? R means what? Real number. Real number defined from minus infinite to positive infinite, and its period is pi, means after pi it will repeats its waves, means repeats its path. So students, so domain we can define the domain minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, or pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, 3 pi by 2 to 5 pi by 2. Right students? All these are in positive direction. Similarly, you can define in negative direction. Students, let us see these things over here. So the domain can be generalized like that way: 2k minus 1 pi by 2 and 2k plus 1 pi by 2, where k belongs to integer. K belongs to integer means you can consider any integral value like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. If you will put all these values over here, you can get the domain in this form. Right students? So we can draw the graph over here for what? Y is equal to tan x. Y is equal to what? Tan x. So here students, you can see that all x belongs to what? 2k plus 1 pi by 2. Right students? So according to this one we can get the values, and y is what? And its range is, so students, we know that range is the values of y. Okay students? So here you can see that if you are taking suppose pi by 2, if you are taking pi by 2 means you are taking the value of x is pi by 2. So y will be what? 10 pi by 2. We know that 10 pi by 2 is what? Undefined. So for pi by 2 the graph will be what? The point will be undefined, at undefined place. So we can point like that way. So if we are plotting these things, similarly if you are taking minus pi by 2, what is minus pi by 2? For that we will get y will be minus negative infinity, so it will be comes down. So it will be like that way. It will be passes from 0, because we can consider over here if z is equal to 0, so obviously x will be 0 and y will be 0. So we are getting the point like that way. So we can join these things and we can draw the graph of what? Tan y is equal to tan x. Similarly students, if you are taking these points you can get the point graph like that way. If you will plot, if you are continuing this 3 pi by 2 to 5 by 2, so you can continue like that way. Similarly, if you are moving to the negative sides, the graph will be in this form. Okay students, so we know that the tan function is 1 1 and onto, so it having the inverse. The function which is 1 1 and onto, so inverse exists. So inverse can be defined at, we know that in any function, if the function having inverse, the domain will be converted into codomain, means range, and range will be converted into domain, right student? So here you can initially we have defined tan in the form of x y, so the terms will be changed over here, means element of the order will be changed, means domain will be become the range and range will become domain. So y x, where y is equal to 10x. Initially x was what? Belongs to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and y belongs to real number. Okay students, so if y is equal to tan inverse x, so what about x? So x is equal to tan inverse y. So domain is what? Domain will become what? Range. Initially y range was what? Real number. Now the domain will become R and range will become domain. Okay students, so you can rotate like that way, right? If you are holding these things, and you can rotate in this way. So this x-axis will become y-axis and y-axis will become x-axis, and you can plot the graph like this. Okay students, now moving to the cot function. We know that cot function can be defined in the form of R, k pi, k belongs to z, and its range is, its domain is R. Its range is R. So R, range of cot is what? R, and its period is pi. So after pi it will be repeat the same path, and its domain is 0 to pi, pi to 2 pi, 2 pi to 3 pi, and 2 pi to 3 pi. Right students, so here you can write 3 pi to 5 pi. Okay students, so all these domain can be written in the general form k pi to k plus 1 pi, where k belongs to z. Right students, so here we will plot the graph of what? Y is equal to cot x. Y is equal to what? Cot x. If you are putting x is equal to 0, so y will be cot 0, and we know that cot 0 is what? Undefined. Cot 0 is undefined. So students, here you can see that if you are taking 0, right, and then you are taking what? Pi, then you can take what? Pi to 2 pi. So we can plot the graph. So domain is what? These are the point of x-axis. These are the point of x-axis, means 0 to pi, pi to 2 pi. Right students, in this way if you plot the graph of cot x, you will get the graph in this form. Students, we know that cot is many one function, and we have discussed all trigonometric function are 1 1 and onto, so its inverse is possible. So cot inverse can be defined as yx, y is equal to cot x, and x belongs to where? Initially x belongs to 0 to pi, and y belongs to real number. So students, y is equal to cot x. So what about cot inverse x, cot inverse y? This will be x. So it means what you have to do over here, just you will have to rotate this graph, means the x coordinate will become y coordinate and y will become x coordinate, means the x axis will become y axis and y axis will become x axis. So if you are rotating like that way, the graph will be in this form. Okay students, similarly moving to the inverse of sec function. So sec function can be defined as sec x y, where y is equal to sec x and x belongs to 0 to pi minus pi by 2, and y belongs to r minus real minus this interval, this open interval, means minus 1 to 1. So range of sec x is what? R minus interval, open interval minus 1 to 1. And domain is what? Closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, and 3 pi by 2, 5 pi by 2. So this domain can be generalized as R minus 2k plus 1 pi by 2. Okay students, so again plotting the graph of this sec function. So consider y is equal to, you are considering sec x, right students? If you are putting the value of minus pi by 2, sec minus pi by 2, so sec minus pi by 2, right students? So what about sec minus pi by 2? Obviously you are going to get undefined, so there will be undefined in negative direction. If you are putting sec plus pi by 2, you are getting plus what? Infinite for pi by 2 points. So you can plot in this way. Okay students, and you will have to remove from R, means you can't take what? Minus 1 and 1. So students, here is 1 and here is minus 1. Okay students, if you are continuing this process, you will get the graph like that way. Students, we have discussed all trigonometric functions are 1 1 and 1 2. So its inverse is exists. So sec x, the inverse of sec x can be defined as sec inverse y x, means domain become range and range will become domain, where y is equal to sec x and x belongs to 0 to pi minus pi by 2. So students, y is equal to sec x, which implies x is equal to sec inverse x. So its domain will be what? Sec inverse in R minus 1 to 1, and range will be what? 0 to pi and minus pi by 2. Okay students, so what do we have to do over here? Just we can plot the graph of these things. So just again you will have to rotate. So after rotating, you will get the graph like that way, means the graph in the form of this, and there will be this. You can note over here, tan inverse x is equal to what? X, and tan into tan inverse x will be x, cot inverse cot x will be x, cot into cot inverse will be x, sec inverse into sec x is equal to x, and sec into sec inverse will be x, cosec inverse into cosec x will be x, and cosec into cosec inverse will be x. Okay students, here we are completing today video lesson. In coming video lesson, I will give the information of this video lessons one by one and in depth. Okay students, here was just introduction about inverse of trigonometric function. I hope you have understood. For more video lesson, keep watching your channel Ravisirjee. Thank you once again.